Alright, welcome everybody to round 15 of the IFL F2 Championship League. We are catching qualifying about 5 minutes in here, and as of right now we have Chris Byram sitting on provisional pole with a 130.2. Welcome to Imola, everybody. We are going to be doing quite the long race here at this historic track in Italy. Like I said before, Chris Byram sitting first as of right now. Ivan Bouwkamp right behind him. Lewis Archer only 2 1,000ths off of Bouwkamp. Herbert, who is sitting in fourth. Day, who is sitting in fifth. Just getting some warm-up laps in, it seems, here. Have a grid of about 9 cars so far, but we expect that to go up as drivers start getting into the session here and getting their qualifying laps down. Ooh, and Byram goes wide there. Ooh, and Grabowski becoming an obstacle in the middle of the track there as well. Let's take a look at our race info. And let's just see how hot it is out on the track for these drivers today. Currently we are sitting at 81-degree ambient temperature with an 83-degree track temperature. So only a couple degrees off from the air to the track itself. The weather is sitting at 51 degrees or 51% humidity. It's partly cloudy, 7 mile an hour winds. And right now, this is not too bad of a race condition for these guys here in Imola. We are going to be seeing Bouwkamp taking the provisional pole here from Byram. The 130.2, expect these times to go down as the sun goes down as well. That'll cool the track, give the drivers a little bit more grip throughout. Let's take a look. Byram currently with a purple sector there. See if he can't get another purple sector here. Nope, not a purple sector. Keeps those track limits. So the track limits at Imola are very, very touchy. And we will see that as these guys are qualifying. They will probably be hitting some spots that you would think, oh, maybe they just went off track for a moment there, but truly they actually are within the track limits. They don't get any incident points from iRacing, and they don't get any penalty for going off those areas. But there are some spots on the track that are very, very, very close. One spot where you can go extra wide is not this turn, but the exit of turn there. You can get all of that green curb. You can put both wheels almost up on that green curb. Oh, and Byram spins it around. But we have Archer currently sitting third. And he is on a lap. He's got a green and a purple sector. Another green. And let's see how he comes across the finish line here. Will that propel him up? It does not. He's still sitting at a 130.6 for his best lap. We'll see how he can improve. Loads those tires up, gets through that turn. Well, he gets to the end of his lap. We'll jump over to Cologne, who is a few sectors ahead of him. Really only a few turns. Cologne been looking really consistent the past few weeks, grabbing up a lot of points. Fighting for that third place as of right now in the driver's standings. He's got a couple green sectors, some not so great sectors on this run, but he could be on a little bit more fuel, just trying to get those tires up to temp. He comes across the line. Say 131. Not gonna be close enough to Byron, Baukamp, and Archer, and he gets off the track there. His teammate Don Day going out. We have some wrecks going on. People sliding off track. This Archer here, gearing up for his lap. It's a little bit too much curb. That's another one. You don't want to go too far off that curb because you will bottom out in that exit curb. You want to hug that inside wall, that straightaway as long as you can. Cut off as many meters as you can. See, he just throws it into these turns. Doing some good laps right now, but as of right now, Chris Byram looking like he is going to be our provisional pole holder for a while. Some of these guys restarting. You see a lot of out laps up there on the timing tower of people that are out, people that are in the pits. They're getting their second run ready and getting going. Try and throw another couple laps down. And Lewis Archer, who we're on right now, not doing too much to improve his time. We have Don Day following closely behind now. See if he's going to try and get a little bit of a slipstream from Lewis down the straight. Yeah, Archer going purple in the fourth sector. This is the final sector of the track he's on now.
What's your radio now?
Don Day with him here.
Yeah, my bad, Chris. I didn't know that you were coming.
And Lewis Archer, as we heard a little bit of chatter on the radio there, does not improve. He might have gone wide. It didn't really give us a time for him, so he might have thrown that thing a little bit wide. We have Chris Byram on the purple sector lap coming around right now. See if he improves at all, and he does not. 131.2. While we watch here, Chris Byram coming up the second short straight here. Daniel Thomas racing today. We don't always get to see him in the races, but we're glad that he's here. Louis Cologne doing a little weaving action, getting those tires up to temperature. And Grabowski shortly behind them. As we have Archer coming down the back straight. Out of the, we might have gone a little wide there, out of the final chicane there. And that chicane, you're going to see these drivers get tons of that curb because it just pays off to eat that curb pretty heavy. And you can cut that corner down as much as you can, and then your exit, you just throw it out of the exit because you're allowed to go fairly wide on that curb as long as your tire is still on the white and red curb. And both tires are not on the green. As he goes first one into the 129s, then you are okay, as we see him flying through the lap here. 2/10 up on Chris Byram. Really almost just about a tenth. And Chris Byram, oh, really close. Wow. Take a look. We are 14 1/1000ths off of each other on the pole position right now for Lewis Archer and Chris Byram. Teammates, of course, and Lewis is trying to fight for that championship today and seal it off for the remainder of the season. Of course, his biggest rival being his own teammate Chris Byram, trying to get the team victory, but also deny his teammate in the process. So the ideal scenario is, Kuda works going 1-2 in each race for these guys, and Chris Byram taking first place each time, trying to kind of throw a wrench in Lewis's Drivers' Championship and take it from him. We see a very similar dynamic right now as Lewis Hamilton in real life with Nico Rosberg when they were fighting each other for the championship, and Rosberg was able to take it from him. Daniel Thomas with a purple sector, a green sector. Watch him on his lap here, see how he's able to improve on his lap times. Thomas right now, his best is 131, and he goes wide, trying to push it too hard, and spins out. Hopefully nobody's coming down the track. Looks like Ivan Baukamp, his teammate, currently coming up, but Daniel just going to give himself a reset. We have the GTR Porsche of Mr. Herbert there. Baukamp has been fighting for third place and trying to get up into that second place category with Chris Byram throughout the season. He's going to be out of gas, gearing up for one last final run. We have 10 minutes left here in qualifying. And as long as these drivers pass the start-finish line with time on the clock before that 25-minute mark hits, then they are able to complete 1 lap or 2 minutes of driving. So these drivers still have that little bit more that they can push and get another full session of running the fuel down out of these cars and getting down to a hot lap. And you see all these drivers out lap for Archer, Baukamp, Thomas, Beddoes. You have pit exit for Byram, so he's going to be coming out on his out lap. Herbert's in the pits. Grabowski out lap right now, just starting his flying lap. Right now, we still have Archer and Byram sitting at their very respectable 129.894 and 129.908 fighting teammates. Ivan Baukamp, who we are watching currently, in third at a 130.215. Louis Cologne sitting in fourth. Don Day, his teammate, sitting in fifth. Daniel Thomas down in sixth. We saw him have the pace, but just could not finish out that last sector before the straightaway. He tried to push it a little too hard there. And then we have Eric Beddoes, Mr. Herbert, and Stephen Grabowski, who has yet to throw down a qualifying lap time. So maybe we have some concern there. But Grabowski has been looking really quick in the past few races, so we'll see how he does. He's out on the track now, trying to get a time in. There he is. In that white CUDA car, the third CUDA team of the season there. You see Grabowski come across the line. You have Cologne coming down straight here. And let's jump on board with him and take a lap. This is such a high-speed braking zone. You're getting down into third gear and just throwing it in. Just accelerating out through these turns here. Braking slightly, going to the left, throwing it right again. Now we have our hairpin turn here, getting it down to about second gear and trying to take it as wide as you can there. You're going to hug to the right at about that 50-meter mark. You're going to tap the brakes, throw it into the left. That's another spot right there in that green area that you can take a lot of curb. Throwing it downhill, which makes it really hard to brake, and then throwing it right, getting back on the gas. Great job here from Cologne. Keep it on the track and steady. Around that 50-meter mark, you're slamming the brakes, eating a bunch of curb on the right, hitting that curb on the left quite a bit. Those are some monstrous curbs. You can eat that green area on the right on the exit, and then you're just off to the races down the back straight. Hitting the brakes around that 50-meter mark once again, throwing it inside. You can eat some of that green curb on the right. Throw it inside, a little bit more green curb, but you don't want to take too much because your car will bottom out, and then it is DRS wide open. Down the straight. And Cologne, with that lap, able to improve his time to a 1:30.7, about a half second faster than his original time. Great job from Lewis Cologne there on his lap that we just got to witness. Ooh, as we also witnessed him go off here. These cars are touchy. Very, very touchy. So you see him getting going again, getting back on track. Lewis Archer on his out lap right now. So we'll jump over to his teammate Chris Byram. Actually have Beddoes ahead of him. We'll watch Beddoes come across the line first. Beddoes taking a little bit wider into that turn, not quite eating as much inside curb, but that leaves him to get a little bit more speed around the outside of that turn and carry that down this very, very long straightaway. Big braking zone there, turn one. We're going to see, if I had to guess, we're going to see some trouble there into turn one. We are at 22 minutes in qualifying. 3 more minutes left for these drivers to get across that line for one last lap and try and upset Lewis Archer. Ooh, and it's not going to be his teammate Chris Byram as he catches a little bit too much of that curb, or might have just had a little bit loose of a back end there and just smacks the wall. Lewis Archer right now looking good because Chris Byram only has 3 minutes to get out and around the track once to get on his flying lap, maybe even twice, depending on how fast he can get around. He's got 3 minutes to do it, and he's got a minute 30 lap time to set on each one. I don't think he's going to be able to do 3 laps here. He'll be able to do 2 at least, though, as we see him coming out of the pit lane. His teammate Archer trying to improve on his time, defend his starting position out in pole. When we see Beddoes go a little bit wide, that turn there is downhill. It is downhill with a heavy braking zone, and it is so easy just to take a little bit too much speed and get a little understeer because of it, and then you're just going wide, and you're just along for the ride, holding on, hoping that you can get your car straightened out and back on the track. And Byram here setting a purple sector on his out lap, guys. Out lap. He is pushing hard to try and get back to the line in order to get a good lap. He is flying right now. But it is just such a tight race here between Byram and Archer. A in the point standings, but B out on track we see 14 1/1000ths of a second, 1.4 100ths of a second. Ooh, Byram goes wide, trying to carry too much speed. Let's see if he can get straightened out. Oh, Byram here, he's going to try and get his back wheels on that little bit of tarmac there and get going. Ooh, and blocks Lewis a tiny bit, his teammate. Lewis is not going to be happy about that. He has a purple sector, 3 green sector lap that he is probably going to improve upon his time. No, he does not. It does not register as a lap. He might have gone a little bit wide. Byram flying right now, trying to catch his teammate. but he will not be able to get across the line. This will be Byron's last lap that will count. We see Herbert in the pits with the 133. He's not going to be able to get out and get another lap. Don Day not going to be able to get out and get another lap in. He might just be getting some practice. Daniel Thomas coming across the line. That'll be his last lap. He is starting right now. 131.24 on that last one. Oh, and we see Louis Cologne smack the wall. Thankfully, this is sim racing, so he is all right. Baucamp, Archer, and Byram, 1, 2, and 3, all in a line here, following each other. And you got to think, are these guys playing for a little lockup there by Baucamp? Are these guys going to play into the slipstream strength? Because it is a long way from the beginning of this starting grid, as we see the cars passing the starting grid now, all the way down this straight, and then connecting here at turn 1. It might be worth starting off in 3rd position. And we are out of time for qualifying. We'll see a few more cars on the track. Daniel Thomas finishing up. Unless a miracle happens with Daniel Thomas with his sectors that he currently has, then he will not be upsetting Louis Archer, and that will seal the deal. Louis Archer will be our pole sitter. That's a little frustration there from Daniel Thomas. Louis Archer, our pole sitter here after qualifying in Imola. Right now he is on top with that 129.748. He widened the gap just the slightest bit on his teammate. Probably just defending, making sure that Chris wasn't going to be able to give him the upset. But we're going to take a short break while these drivers warm up. And you guys will be able to follow the action. But before I step away for just a moment, we are going to give a shout out to our sponsors here, Buck Kicker, who provides some great prizes, Designs Ltd, who provides some great apparel prizes for the champions of the Constructors and the Drivers Championships in both of our leagues. And then Majors Garage as our 3rd sponsor right now. We are great to work with them. They provide us with some setups for our teams and some year-long subscriptions. Thank you, Majors Garage, for that. But we'll let you guys look at these results. And right now, you can see it there. Louis Archer, Chris Byram, Ivan Baucamp, Louis Cologne, Daniel Thomas, Don Day, Eric Beddoes, Dominic Herbert, and Steve Grabowski rounding out our driver field for the day. Right now, we are just getting some warm-up laps in.
Good luck, everyone.
But we'll be right back while these guys warm up. All right, everybody, we are back here with about 30 seconds, a little bit more than 30 seconds left to go in the warm-up session. These drivers are just right now getting used to the cars with fuel again, as they just ran anywhere between 10 to 12 laps on low fuel to try and get those qualifying times in. Right now we're looking at Lewis Archer. He's our pole sitter. He's doing some great things today, ahead of his teammate Chris Byram, who is sitting in second off the grid, and Ivan Baukamp sitting in third, which might be an advantage, being in third with the very long straight that they're going to go down to get down to the... Oh, there we go. He's off grid to get down to the first turn. As we grid up, we have our 4 cars on the right. Should have 5 cars on the left. Waiting for one more car to grid up here. And there we go. Last car on the grid. Ooh, just for a moment. Might have messed up there. Grabowski starting from the pits, and we have lights are on and lights are out. We have Lewis Archer with a good start, but Chris Byram right up behind him. Ivan Baukamp getting into that double slipstream, going down towards turn 1. We have Byram trying to go wide. Takes the outside corner. Just trying to keep that speed up. See how well this train holds together here. Very high speed track, Imola, so these drivers are going to try and stay in that slipstream as much as possible. You see Baukamp messing up. Daniel Thomas getting passed by Lewis Cologne. Thomas is having an off right now. Yeah, Thomas just gets a little bit too much curb here. Overbrakes himself. Gets out of the way, no damage. And Archer is coming up the hill with Byram right on his tail. And I don't think Byram's going to give him a little bit of room in the slightest as we go down the hill towards our last couple turns before the straight. Ooh, Byram thinking about maybe making a move, but it is lap 1 of 43, guys. We are not going to see anything crazy here from these drivers on lap 1. Especially with this really long straight here. Byram making a little bit of a move, goes a little bit wide. And that speed, let's see if Byram can get around him on the outside. Carries a lot of speed. Ooh, almost touches back Archer. He's less than a 0.2 of a second. He throws it inside. Trying to get as much curb, eating up as much of the track as possible. Baukamp just keeping him in his sights as of right now. Less than a half a second down the straight. Phenomenal top 2 drivers we have here. As Baukamp brings in that gap just the slightest bit. Byram going a little bit wide. He's going to have to give a slowdown there. That is really going to hurt him. Slowdown penalty if you go wide in that turn. Lewis Archer currently your first place. Chris Byram second. Baukamp third, but Baukamp passing up Chris Byram, who had to give up a little bit of time due to that turn exceeding limits. And Cologne right behind him. Now the focus goes from a first, second place battle to a second, third, and fourth place battle for Baukamp, Byram, and Cologne. And this long straight is going to let Byram make his move on the outside. Will he have enough to make it stick? Ooh, and he cuts off Bouwkamp pretty heavily. And pulls off a beautiful move to get in front of him on the outside. And we have Eric Beddoes following these three. A couple seconds behind, but making up time. These three drivers right here, Byram, Bouwkamp, and Cologne, are going to fight tooth and nail for that second place spot. And that might give Beddoes, Day, and Herbert the opportunity, and Thomas, who's shortly behind them, the opportunity to try and make up some time on these three drivers and kind of scrunch up the field a bit. As of right now, our close fight is between Bouwkamp, Cologne, and Byram. Ooh, Bouwkamp goes wide. That will also give him a slowdown of 1 second. But Bouwkamp not backing off. He's right there behind Cologne. And to anyone just joining us, we had a phenomenal first lap here. Byram had a little bit of an off track, which pushed him slightest bit wide. And he had to give up some time. We see Bouwkamp here had to give up a little bit of time to Cologne, and Cologne sitting in third now because of it, who has the clean race along with our race leader Lewis Archer right now. Currently Byram running the fastest lap of the race, 4/10 faster than Archer's fastest lap. We can jump back to Daniel Thomas and Dominic Herbert, who are fighting for that 8th spot. It looks like Grabowski had an incident or just had some technical difficulties because he is currently out of the race, and we saw him not start from the grid. He started from the pits, so maybe some technical difficulties on his end. Daniel Thomas making up some time here. Ooh, really pushing Dominic Herbert. Let's see if he makes a move here down the back straight. This is a dangerous spot to try and outbrake somebody. Ooh! And we have Dominic Herbert sliding off the track. No real blockage or damage, but we have the gap closing. Chris Byram on Lewis Archer and Ivan Bouwkamp on Lewis Cologne. So we have two little battles going on here up near the front. Teammates for 1 and 2. And you might think, oh, there's team orders. There's, Lewis is championship leader right now, so Chris is going to just give it to him, allow him to, take that championship. But you would be wrong if you were thinking that. Byram is going to fight tooth and nail to get every win that he can, because it's not very surprising news. I guess it is a little bit of surprising news that Chris Byram and Lewis Archer will be separating at the end of this season. Chris Byram will be making a new team, who he has announced. We will get that information over to you guys shortly, but that just increases the drama here. Two teammates fighting. Byram and Archer all the time, and Bouwkamp having a better release than Don Day. Let's see if Bouwkamp can make this sticker on the outside. Cologne just falling a little behind. Cologne not giving up. He is only a couple tenths back from Bouwkamp. Cologne sticking to him like glue. Staying 2/10 back. Ooh, Baukamp a little lock up there. That's going to hurt his tires. And Cologne is right there. Not ever giving up, not ever ceasing to push the envelope and really try and make Baukamp make a mistake here. Tiny bit of lock up there from Cologne. We watch our leader here. That's real close. He might have gone a tiny bit wide. If he did, that would leave the gap open for Byram to get ahead of him down this front straight here. And Cologne and Baukamp right now fighting. There's just 9 racers and 3 different battles going on right now. Daniel Thomas gets in front of Don Day in the back of the grid as we see these 2 drivers. Lewis Archer, Chris Byram, and then Ivan Baukamp and Louis Cologne. We have Chris Byram still sitting in second. Baukamp still sitting in third. Not if Cologne has anything to say about it. These battles are happening almost in unison. Ooh, and did Archer go wide or did he get some damage? Because Archer is just letting Chris by. Not sure what's going on up front here. Maybe a little bit of a slowdown penalty for Archer, which gives Chris Byram the ability to rocket on by. Baukamp still being chased down. Now this group is really tight up front. These track limits will get you if you are not careful. I'm getting real chippy and real close there. Elbows are out from Ivan Baukamp. Making sure Louis Cologne is not able to get by him. But Louis Cologne on the outside has the better turn-in angle. As we're going to see, Baukamp is going to be able to get into Archer's slipstream, and that's going to give Cologne a slipstream as well. Cologne with a bad exit there. But now we have a four-way battle for first here. Louis Archer trying to make the move happen on Chris Byram, not going to risk it. We have a heck of a race for the top 4 in this field. We'll pop up our battle box here. As we see Louis Archer only getting up to 166 miles an hour down that straight as a top speed. Whereas Byram has gotten up to 170. Each staying within three-quarters of a second. Cologne looking to pounce whenever the opportunity rises. We're going to watch here. We have Don Day pushing up behind Eric Beddoes. Eric Beddoes has a little bit of a hard go of things, and Don Day is going to launch himself into 5th position as we miss. Baukamp getting by Louis Archer. Going down the straight here, and Archer's going to have that slipstream along with Don Day. Archer might have had another slowdown. Either that or a really bad exit. And Archer, ooh, sliding out. Into the wall. Getting back on the track. Not sure if he has any damage, but that is going to hurt his championship. He is going to be racing. Oh, as we see Cologne. No, Baukamp off. Must have gotten into it with Cologne there. Wow, what a turn of events here. Let's go back. As we see, that was the tap by Ivan Baukamp, sent Lewis Archer wide. And Archer keeps it out of the wall, it looks like. Worst case would be a little bit of undercarriage damage. But then we jump back up to Louis Cologne, who then, just bumps the back of Ivan Baukamp, slows down, probably has a little bit of damage there. Yeah, that one's a rough one. A rough series of events there, but has launched Chris Byram out into first place, with Cologne 7 seconds behind and closing, and Archer 3.5 seconds behind Cologne and trying to close that gap as well. Now that these drivers are spread out, they have their, they have their one fast repair, so it looks like Ivan Baukamp's coming in for his fast repair, tires, and fuel. We'll watch him do that. Yep, lifting up, getting new tires. He's going to have to make these tires last 33 laps, and that fuel is going to really make this car heavy and have a hard time turning in, especially with cold tires. He's going to have a lot of work ahead of him if he is going to try and do an undercut maneuver to try and catch back up to those leaders. Byram currently still setting the fastest time with a 1:31.5. Last lap, he was a 1:63 for his fastest speed. As we see Louis Archer go by Louis Cologne. Cologne must have had a slight off track and had to give that position up due to the slowdown penalty. These track penalties and slowdowns are going to cost these drivers quite a bit of time, as we see Cologne just having to get out of the way and let Archer by. We will see, just like we saw with Baukamp, Cologne will not give up that position very easily, though. Cologne is going to try and run down Archer. And with the slipstream, he should be able to stay in reach, at least, of Louis Archer, as long as there is no damage on his car from the slight tap with Ivan Baukamp. Archer might have a little bit of damage on his car from the tap with Baukamp as well. So you never know. And then once again, we've seen it already a few times. These off tracks are going to really push these drivers to be safe and to make each turn stick. Right there is where you see those off tracks happen quite often out of that dipping turn down the hill. Ooh, just a little bit wide there from Cologne. Might have gotten his tire off to have to give up some time. He's given up slight amounts of time here, so yeah, I think he might have had a slowdown. And he's coming into the pits. He's going to try that undercut and try and make those tires really last till the end. And Baukamp is going to be doing the same strategy. So let's see how things work out for Cologne here. It's a long straightaway, long pit lane. We see Cologne is up. Let's see him coming down the pit lane there. And he is now finally out of there. That seemed like it was a 30-second pit stop. But he is going to have Baukamp not far behind him. As we watch Daniel Thomas fight Don Day, who is currently in third. Thomas is pushing up behind Day, trying to make trying to make the most of the fight that the leaders were having. Try and make up a little bit of time on them, but this fight between themselves, Don Day and Thomas, is going to really wear on their cars and wear on those tires. As we see, Thomas's tires are going to wear off a lot quicker being in that dirty air. And Thomas looked like he went fairly wide out of that last turn. May have had to give up a little bit of time, but doesn't look like it, as he is only 3/10 behind on the exit and getting a great boost from the slipstream, a great exit, and he should have some DRS pushes in hand if he wanted to use them. And there he goes on the inside. Daniel Thomas taking the position from Don Day. Don isn't going to make it easy on him. He's going to try and push here in the middle sector and make that up and get ready to make an overtake of his own. See Don closing the gap again already. Great driving. Only one driver out, and that was our driver that did not make the grid. So I'm thinking technical difficulties on Grabowski's end. You really see Daniel Thomas pushing these track limits. Let's see what he does here. When that's going to be really close. Thomas, I think, is safe there, but if you touch that red and white curb. Oh, as we see Daniel Thomas getting too much of the curb. And Don Day just driving on by into the sunset. Getting on down the hill. 3.5 seconds now behind in front of Daniel Thomas. Let's see what happened there. We see from a different angle here. He just gets bouncing around from those monstrous curbs for these cars that sit, a half-inch, quarter-inch off of the pavement when you're at speed, even scraping a little bit. You can see that nose just inches are too big to describe. It's centimeters really off the pavement, and when you're going that fast and you hit a curb that fast, your car is going to bounce around just like any car. But these cars being so close to the ground, there might be some damage there on the undercarriage, which will hurt your aerodynamics down the straight. So we'll keep an eye on what was going on there. As we see an incident between Dominic Herbert and Eric Beddoes. These guys coming back onto the track. Ooh, and they're getting in the way of Chris Byram going on by. And Byram is getting stuck behind traffic. Oh no. Herbert gets out the way, but not enough. That is really, really close. Herbert's got to slow down a little bit more and let Byram by. In a safer world, in a safer instance, that's what we would like to have seen. A little bit of a let-off, a little more of a let-off than what was done there down the straight. Kind of like we saw there with Beddoes. Beddoes let Byram right by. So we see Byram coming down. Archer is put up the fastest lap with a 1:31.1. And that is going to be closing the gap. We're at a 7.4 right now. 7.3 and closing from Lewis Archer. So Lewis Archer is pushing the car to the absolute limit. We see Lewis Cologne not far off of those times with a 1:31.8. Baukamp with a 1:32.1 underneath there. And they are going for that long second stint. Byram just pushing. But we're going to see Archer having to get by those same lapped cars soon. Archer right there. Farther down the front straightaway. Getting his car up to a 166 miles an hour. Byron was only at a 164 at his maximum. As we look at our laps here, Archer making up time each of the last 5 laps. See Byron getting a lot of that curb. He's going to want to be careful. Doesn't want to have the same luck that Daniel Thomas did on those curbs. As we look between Byron and Archer here on our time deltas underneath, we're seeing some progress from 9.7 seconds down to 7.3. The graphic there does not lie. Archer is making that gap go down little bit by little bit here. And Byram is trying everything he can to hold him off. This might come down to who has the better pit strategy and who can keep cleaner through this course, because as we've seen already, the off tracks will make or break a race. It will really kill your time. The biggest thing we'll be looking for is Lewis Cologne, sitting in 5th right now. Had that early pit. Baukamp sitting in 6th right there behind him, only a second and a 10th behind. They're going to start fighting each other soon. If Baukamp can make up a couple tenths more, he'll be in that slipstream. And let's take a look at those two and see how they're doing. We have Cologne with Baukamp right behind him. Cologne was holding off the gap up until this last lap. Went from -4, Baukamp in front, to when we saw Cologne pit, and Baukamp jumping out in front. So now we have the switcheroo with the pit strategies, and Cologne's in front now. So that's why we have a dramatic 300-second gap on the drivers there. But we have a phenomenal race going on here between Cologne and Baukamp for 3rd, Archer and Byram for 1st. Look how close these drivers are. 1.1 second off of each other right now, as we see that clock going down on the bottom right of the screen. And Baukamp is going to be real close to being able to catch that slipstream. But Cologne is just pulling away. Cologne might be doing a defensive DRS push here, which would just get Baukamp off of his tail, give him a little bit more breathing room for another couple laps, and then allow them to keep on racing. Great stuff, real great stuff here from these drivers. Cologne and Thomas, or Cologne and Baukamp, Thomas and Day were fighting. Archer and Byram fighting. Beddoes and Herbert fighting each other. Looks like Herbert is in the pit now and is 4 laps down, so he may be done for the evening with his race. We see Lewis Cologne not trying to eat too much of that curb. Ooh, and Ivan Balkamp goes a little bit wide. He might get penalized for that one. He might have to back off a tiny bit off the back of Lewis Cologne. Balkamp not going to be nearly close enough to try and start closing the gap there on Cologne. Down this straight is so much air being cut open for Balkamp right now, but he is just a little bit too far back to experience the benefits of that slipstream at this very long straightaway. Let's take a look at our fight. Up in first, Chris Byram right now, but as we see, the laps are going to Archer. He is now only 7.1 seconds behind on the last lap, only 6.841 this current lap, and slowly closing the gap. You can see that graphic there. He's gaining slight advantages each and every lap. So of 23 laps, and if Byram is, losing the race, so to say, on these gaps here, the question is, does Byram pit first or does Archer pit first? Who takes the first shot? Byram could pit a little earlier than scheduled to try and get the undercut. Archer could pit that a little bit earlier, try and get the undercut going as well. And here at Imola, the undercut is fairly powerful. Not as much as we would see in real F1, since we only have one tire compound. But in our future seasons, where we hope to have a plethora of tire compounds, 3 tire compounds, hard, medium, soft, on an F1 car in the future, then the strategy will get even more in depth. Not just the when do you pit, when do you make your push, but when are you what kind of tire compound are you going to do? You're going to do your soft then your long, or your soft then your hard and go long? Are you going to do your hard then your soft and go long? What are you qualifying in? Because then you'll have to carry that tire over in qualifying to your race. So just another dynamic that we'll have to think of here in the future. But for right now, we are looking at Archer starting to fall back a little bit. 7.3 seconds back now. He is not going to be happy with himself right now. Drivers fighting hard for every second on the track. Not even second, every tenth of a second. These drivers are fighting. It might not seem like, oh yeah, they're 7 seconds apart. How are they fighting? Our closest gap is 1.5 seconds. How is that a fight? While you're in this car, while you're flying around the track and you're trying to make the car stick in spots that you haven't made it stick yet, make this car do what it hasn't been able to do quite yet in practice over 200 laps, you are pushing this car beyond the limits of what is expected of it. Let's see what our gap difference is now. Byram with a quicker time than Lewis. Archer putting up a little bit bigger of a gap now. But when you're doing that, it's a fight. It's a mental fight with yourself to keep the pace up, to keep the intensity up. And as we see here, keeping that pace and intensity up will affect the driver in front of you. As we see, Balkamp is getting closer and closer to Lewis Cologne and is almost in that slipstream range of 1 second again. These drivers are pushing down this straight. It doesn't look like Balkamp is going to be in the slipstream. Either that or Cologne is just running a lower downforce in the back of his car, front of his car, to give him that extra speed down the straight, as we see. Lap times are kind of hit or miss here for Cologne and Balkamp. You see some improvements from Cologne, some better ones from Balkamp. And in that battle box, you can see Cologne going 2 miles an hour faster down the straight as his maximum speed this last lap than Balkamp has. Don Day hitting 168 miles an hour, must have been using that DRS system. Little loose there from Lewis Cologne. This might prove to be a good attacking point for Balkamp. And Archer coming out of the pits. He has made his stop trying to do the undercut. But he is going to have a little bit of traffic with Don Day in front of him. Now the question is, we had Lewis Cologne and Ivan Balkamp both have their issues a little earlier in the race. Does Lewis Cologne get on the radio with Don Day and say, hey, Archer's there right behind you, 3 seconds. We want you to slow him up. Is there any team orders like that going on? It's a mystery to us. We can't be inside those chats and hear those guys talking. But we can only imagine if we see a little bit of defensive driving from Don Day trying to keep Lewis Archer hung up. That might be the thing that, you know, they say, hey, Byron's too far ahead, but second place is right there. We have control of their pace. We have control of their car in front of us. Let's try and keep Lewis Archer's ability to put a gap on us to a minimum now that he's out of the pits, and let's Cologne and Balkamp catch up. It's a big gap, 21.5 seconds, but you know, Don Day over another 20 laps can slow down a Lewis Archer. You know, if it's a half a second a lap, a full second a lap, who knows? But Lewis Archer is also on cold tire. Yeah, Lewis Archer's on cold tires, while Cologne and Balkamp have those nice warmed up, worn-in tires. They might be fighting each other, but they're also both going to be going for the undercut on Archer as well. If we jump to Archer now, we can see our pit strategy here. Byram and Don Day still have not come in for their pits. Archer pit on lap 22, Cologne on 11, Balkamp on 9, Beto's on 9, and Thomas hit the pits at lap 20. Byram starting lap 24, still is not pit, going that long stint to start. He's only going to have a handful of laps here. And these cars can hold quite a bit of fuel, but Byram is going to really need to get those tires up to temp really fast here at the end. Being 44 seconds ahead, that should give him the gap advantage on Lewis Archer here. But like we said before, that pit lane is extremely long and is a really hard thing to overcome when you have a car barreling down the straightaway at you. And we have Ivan Balkamp right up behind Lewis Cologne now. Balkamp and Cologne really fighting here. Made up a big bit of gap there. 0.8 of a second. And now it is a fight here from Balkamp to Cologne. putting on the offensive. Cologne trying to just shut the door here on Baukamp. Crucial hairpin exit here. Get that car straight before you're out of that turn. And it might have been the hang-up from Daniel Thomas on Lewis Cologne that really got him to fall back to that striking distance for... Oh no, Cologne goes wide. Ooh, and just locks it up there. Comes back on and hits Daniel Thomas. Oh no, what a disastrous race there for Cologne. He is upside down, can't get going, and is going to have to tow to the pits. What an upsetting turn of events here for Cologne. That was such a great race going on there between him and Baukamp for that third place spot. Right now, Archer got in front of Don Day. Don Day in the pit lane. Don did not make it hard for Archer to get by. Diving into the pits just gives him that freebie on by. And it is going to come down to Ivan Baukamp, Lewis Archer, and Chris Byram for this race. Daniel Thomas getting nailed there. Barely able to keep the car straight. You'll think this will probably end up retiring the sixth place driver. So he can't barely even get it down the pit lane there as we see him having a really hard time. Byram 26 laps in on his pit strategy here. Beto's going on by Thomas, getting up into that fifth place spot. Damage repair for both drivers. Looks like Thomas is getting out of his car. See if he ever gets back in. And did I see this right? Lewis Archer has crashed on our tracker board here. No. Ooh, he has. He has gone around. And this is going to be almost a sure thing then for Chris Byram to be able to take this race. Lewis Archer throwing the car around. You can bet he is kicking himself right now. That chase was getting real intense. He was trying to chase down his teammate and just a little bit too much coming out of that. And we see Chris Byram entering the pit lane now. Don Day goes on by. Let's see how far out Lewis Archer will be from Chris Byram. You never know what can happen, though. We've seen Chris have a penalty for entering the pits too fast and unsafely at Twin Ring, but he has a good pit exit here. Trying to get those tires warm before he gets out. And off to the races he goes. Byram with a 27 lap stint. He is going to be able to push these tires pretty far once he gets them up to temp. Archer barreling down right now, 11.2, 11.1, 11 seconds back currently. As we look at it here, we have Byram and Archer's battle there on the graphic on the bottom right. You can see Archer within 11.1 seconds. Baukamp 23.7 seconds back from Archer. And Don Day 24.7 seconds back from Baucamp. Every position here counts towards your point total, so these drivers are going to be fighting. Lewis Cologne, the incident with Daniel Thomas coming back onto the track, and Cologne is back on track, just trying, whatever he can to try and get some more points and get back up as high as he can in the standings here, because you really don't know what's going to happen. We've seen off tracks, we've seen lapped cars get in the way of our regular cars, our cars on the lead lap. We've seen leaders being wrecked out. Jumping back to our F3 series last season, which was our only series, where Lewis Archer was racing for first, had it in the bag on the last lap, and came around a blind corner, and surprise, there is a car, just laid across the track and could not avoid it. And that same race, we have our race winner that week, which was Max Crowther, that just floats across the line because he ran out of gas on the last lap. We saw that in Canada with Matt Green and Cristiano Schegetman. Cristiano running out of gas in the F3 car. It's possible. You can make a miscalculation. You can make a big mistake. Crew chief likes to do it. A third-party app that will help you with your fuel consumption and your pit strategy and your strategy for the race overall. It will, really throw a wrench in the system when the automatic system doesn't put the right gas in. So Lewis Archer really putting some good times in. He has a little slip up there, goes back to 14.1 seconds back. Byram making some good headway on this lap to put that gap even farther. But we see Baucamp Archer going into the pit lane. What happened to Archer here? Let's see, Archer goes off track, it says. Bump, bump. Ooh. He might have caught too much curb and had a lot more than he wanted on the underside of that car. It might be a little bit of damage, so he might be trying to just get his car repaired. And Lewis Archer right now leaving the pit lane. Ivan Baucamp jumps up to second. Mysterious there from Lewis with what's going on. Normally he would try and stick it out. I think, with championship on the line, without really messing anything up, he can take the championship very, very shortly, if not this race. But with his teammate Chris Byram taking first, that's going to just make it that much harder. Going to make it come down to the wire that much more. And if Lewis Archer can't make it to the end of the race and he drops down to what would be 7th place, that would really hurt his points total. Kuda, I believe, has already clinched the team title. But Chris Byram is right there and able to upset Lewis Archer if things go severely wrong for Archer in the next few races, which is all we have left. We have here at Imola, then we have Spa, Silverstone, and then Hockenheim. And those are the final races of the season. We are closing in on the end of Season 2 and the beginning of Season 3. Season 3 will be beginning February 5th, the weekend of February 5th, for our F2 championship starting on the Saturday, and our F3 championship starting on the 6th on that Sunday. So we are very close. It might seem like that's a really long way away, but the holidays are here. For us Americans, we have Thanksgiving just around the corner, and then Christmas. The holiday feeling is going to be in effect towards the end of the season, and we can't wait to see these drivers fight for the last bit of points and the last little bit of respect and experience, really. Big thing right now is if you are not in a winning position, these drivers are looking to improve and get ready for next season and gear up for next season, which we are all really hyped about in the admin channels and in the announcement channels, as we see Archer closing that gap on Ivan Baukamp. Right now, as long as Chris Byram doesn't have any big technical difficulties, Baukamp will not be able to catch him, but we do have Archer, who is closing in on Baukamp. You see that gap going down from 25 seconds when Lewis had taken his pit and Ivan had gone by to just 3.6 seconds back from Ivan Baukamp right now. But what an extraordinary race here from Baukamp to recover. He went off in this turn that he's going through right now. He went off after a little bit of a touch from Lewis Cologne, and a little bit of a touch from Lewis Archer earlier in the lap as well, which is what sent Lewis Archer flying off the track. You'll be able to see that coup de car not far off now, 2.1 seconds. 2.0, 1.9. There he is. Lewis Archer going to try and attack here. He needs these points to try and finish off his championship run. Ooh, and Archer goes wide. He's going to have to reset himself and kind of collect his thoughts on how he's going to get by Baukamp. He's got 10 laps, but going wide and getting time penalties is not the way to accomplish that. But it looks like he might not have that time penalty. 1.4 seconds back here. Archer is flying down the track. 1.5 seconds down from being ahead 23 seconds a few laps ago. And we're going to see that gap is now under 1 second here. Lewis Archer most definitely will pass Ivan Baukamp if this kind of pace keeps up from the two drivers. Archer still holding on to that fastest lap. Byram not really pushing too hard. No reason to when you have a 40-second gap. Archer pushing right up behind Baukamp. Let's see, these two are technically teammates. Holding steady here. Archer going a little bit wider, trying to get some more speed. On the exit of that turn, you see he goes just a smidge wide. Probably bottomed out that car just the tiniest bit, but he is in the slipstream of Ivan Baukamp. Can he get enough speed by the end of this straight? Baukamp hits 160. We can see Baukamp hit 166, Archer hitting the same, so that gap is going to stay essentially the same for this lap. Great driving from both drivers here, being very respectful. Lewis Archer overtaking Baukamp there. Baukamp having a little bit of a mistake. And Archer is just going to drive off into the distance here. 1.2 seconds out front already. Getting a lot more curve than he probably should, Baukamp. Take a look at a couple of our other drivers here. Don Day sitting in fourth currently. 22 seconds behind Ivan Baukamp. Best lap is a 1:31.9. Not too far off the leaders here. His teammate, Louis Cologne, sitting in 6th. Not far behind him on the track, but a lap down. And then back around, we have Chris Byram sitting up in 1st, closing the gap, trying to get some of these cars lapped. On such a big circuit is a little hard, but we see it happen. Eric Beto sitting in 5th. I think this would be his best IFL 2 finish. Cheering for you there, Eric Betos. You can see his pace isn't as fast as the other drivers, 1:33 for his best lap, but he is persistent and he is one of the safer ones on the track. He tries to, slap those times in nice and consistently. Once again, not the fastest, but he's sitting in 5th right now, which is some big points here for BE Racing. And we jump back to Louis Archer, who is trying his hardest to push for an upset here, hoping that his teammate messes up. Maybe not hoping for his teammate to mess up, but hoping for Chris to, have enough of a struggle to give Louis the win here. Neither of these drivers ever going to give up an inch, but when it comes to the better for the team, this is probably the peak scenario for Kuda, with Byram in 1st and Louis Archer in 2nd. We're kind of seeing the Valtteri Bottas effect, where Bottas real life is having some real... Oh no, Archer spins out, pirouettes, gets going again, but Baukamp right behind him. But as I was saying, those tires are going to be super hot on Archer. Baukamp's going to be able to get in front of him here with only 7 laps to go. But as I was saying, the Bottas effect, where he is now, these two are splitting up, going their different ways. We have Louis Archer going to continue running the Kuda team, and we have Chris Byram going to run his new team. And the dynamic now is, okay, you're leaving the team, game on for the rest of the season, and Byram doesn't have that pressure of trying to figure out what he's going to do next season here in the IFL. He knows, I'm making my own team, I'm going my own way, so I'm just going to leave it all out there on the track, and that's what he's been doing the past few races. So probably a little bit of the behind-the-scenes action going on that we didn't know about until this past week, but just some great driving from Chris Byram this last week. And Ivan Baukamp drops back again to 2 seconds. That little mishap there, Archer recovered probably the best that he could. Best scenario there where he is just almost going wide again. Best scenario where he is just sliding off track just the slightest bit, pirouettes, gets back on it, and is able to save his race car and not have any big blunders. Only lost a second or two. Ooh, almost loses it again. Those tires are still hot from the first time. Archer, great driver, great reflexes to be able to save that car and keep it from going, back end first into the wall, flying backwards. And you can already see he's got that gap up to almost 3 seconds here on Baukamp, making it look real easy here. But that speed is great, that pace is great, but Byram, the more consistent one, the more elusive, I can say, for the danger out on the track. So he has that's what puts him 45 seconds ahead almost. As we jump to Byram now. 5 laps to go here at Imola. We're just seeing a dominating performance here from Chris Byram. These drivers just have to hold it together for another few laps, and they are going to be happy with their results here. Archer off track, is that what I see? Let's see what happened here. Archer had gone wide. Oh no, Archer, I don't know what's going on with him right now. Maybe he's having some technical difficulties, but the last few laps he has had a hell of a time. He's just having a hard time coming out of that turn. Saves it. Ooh, smacks his rear end. Gonna get going again here. Might have a little bit of rear wing damage, but that's going to propel Ivan Boukamp up into second place. Wow, what a save. A little bit of overcorrection there, but enough to keep his car from totally spinning out, and Boukamp goes right by. You see him being a little bit more ginger on the throttle, on the input controls. Let's see. We're going to have a last lap battle here between Archer and Boukamp. 3 seconds, 3 laps. Truly 4 laps, but let's see what we have cooking in the tank here with Lewis, Archer, and Ivan Boukamp. Archer 3 seconds behind. We saw it earlier. Boukamp was not able to fend off Archer, just kind of let him go by after a small mistake. But Archer is going to be pushing as hard as he can to try and get the extra few points from his sister team in Ivan Boukamp and Eva and Kuda Evo. You see a half-second gain down the front straight. We're going to take a look at Lewis Cologne having a little bit of a hard time here, probably from some of that damage he suffered earlier from the big crash. Byram coming up behind him. Thankfully, Byram didn't get held up too much there. Archer making 2.3 seconds. And Boukamp's going to be biting his fingernails right now. Archer might have gone a smidge wide there. Might have to give some time back. Uh-oh, did Boukamp have a mishap there? He just gave up a big amount of time. Oh no, and Lewis Archer cannot hang on to it going down the hill towards our final lap. Or our final straight. We have 3 laps left. Archer just having some troubles with that car. Very hard to hang on to when you have such low downforce to accommodate for these straights. You see Boukamp up there in the distance. Archer not going to be able to catch up in time unless anything happens to Baukamp. Day coming into the pit lane. That will probably be the end of his race. Just getting out of the way of the leader here, Chris Byram, which is on lap 42 of 43 right now. And let's see, we're going to go through our field here, kind of take a look at everybody and how they are progressing as our final lap comes to fruition here. With Byram getting real close to another win in the IFL F2 Series. And behind him we have Lewis Cologne, who is up in the 5th. He had some struggles, a big wreck with Daniel Thomas right in this spot of the track, and it was not a fun one for Lewis to have to try and come back from, but he's recovered, come back to P5. Thomas in the pits, 15 laps down, so not a great finish there for Thomas due to that wreck. His teammate Don Day in 6th, not a great points total for these two, but they're still both in the points. Eric Beto sitting in 4th. This is going to be his best points finish in the IFL 2 as the white flag is flying for Chris Byram. Ivan Baukamp sitting in 2nd place right now, with Lewis Archer 7.5 behind him. We will jump to just now. Archer really pushing, hoping that Baukamp has some sort of slip up, something that messes him up, and he's going to push his car to the limit every single lap as we see him just closing that gap even more and more and more as the race goes on. Like I said, unless Baukamp has some sort of mishap, I don't think Archer's going to have enough time. And then, of course, right behind Archer is his teammate, Chris Byram, the one that has been the most consistent, great pace, and really just running his car to its peak for performance here at Imola. See him coming through the final chicane. Down our mid-straight here. Final 2 turns. And he is clean through those. He is now going to be your Imola Grand Prix Formula 2 champion. Chris Byram takes it home for CUDA Works. And will this be his last win as a CUDA Works member? Still a few laps, or still a few tracks to go, but we will see how it goes. Lewis Cologne coming home in 5th. Don Day going to be coming across in 6th. And you can tell Byram is going to want every win over his teammate Lewis Archer as he can. Eric Betos with a 4th place finish. Great job sticking it out and just keeping the car going. That just shows what kind of consistency this guy has and what it can do. Not the fastest, but the most consistent. That's going to get you some points. And we have Ivan Baukamp here coming across in 2nd. And Archer is no longer on the track. I'm not sure what happened there. Lewis Archer had crashed. He might have just ended up leaving the race here due to that mishap there. On the final lap, pushing really, really hard, just trying to get more and more out of the car as he can. But that is our final position there. 3rd place there for Lewis Archer. Let's take a look and try and get our results here up on the board. Those are qualifying results. We're going to go to our race results here. Chris Byram, your winner here at Imola. Ivan Baukamp coming in second. Lewis Archer coming in third. Eric Beddoes fourth. His best finish as an F2 driver. Louis Cologne in fifth. Don Day in sixth. And that'll round off the Turning Point drivers there, fifth and sixth. Cuda Evo, seventh place for Daniel Thomas. Dominic Herbert finishing in eighth. And Steve Grabowski didn't really get going today. I don't know, once again, if we had some technical difficulties or whatnot, but Steve Grabowski did not do, I don't think, a full lap in the race, 42 laps down on his finish. Sorry to see it, Steve. Hopefully we see you next week. Let's see who we have ready for interviews here. We do not have anybody ready for interviews. See if we can't grab up some of these guys. In the meantime, we could take a look at a couple of the highlights of our race. And you can see right off the get-go in this race, it was going to be a phenomenal race. If we jump back to our start here. Alright, looks like we have our broadcast waiting room right now. Not so sure we're going to get Lewis Archer, but in his place we do have Eric Beddoes here, who finished his best overall in the his best overall finish in the IFL 2. And it looks like, Beddoes takes P4 on the charts, but there might be some penalties that puts him into P3. But we're going to take a look here. We're going to bring him into the broadcast booth. Lewis Archer in the paddock is saying P3 for Beddoes. So it might just be that Beddoes gets a bump in the standings due to a penalty on Lewis Archer for exceeding track limits. So let's take a look. We're going to interview Eric Beddoes now. Hey Eric, how you doing down there? Great race. Just watching some real entertaining racing here. P4 on the charts, but the thoughts are that Lewis Archer might have some penalties that jump you up to P3. Yeah, great job, great race. We saw a few off tracks here and there, but keeping the car going the right direction, keeping everything clean. What were you focusing on that whole race? And your regular series is the F3 series. The F2 car is, the step up from that. A lot more power, a lot more aero. You were racing alone this week too, without your teammate. What was going through your head without any backup there, and driving in the car that's just that little bit more of a step up than your regular?
Anything like that, but hopefully he'll be up and running again soon. And yeah, basically I'm just happy with what I got.
Yep. And so your first podium in F2. Yep. I believe your first IFL podium as well, if I am not mistaken.
It's my first podium.
So congrats on that.
Thank you very much.
And we'll have to get the graphic changed for Lewis and Eric. But great job, great points for the team, especially in the league that is one step up from the regular racing that you do. Any shout outs you want to give
Just to Bucket Care and everybody else, and you guys up there in the booth, you do an amazing job. Every time I watch the race back, I think you do fantastic. So I just like to say a big thank you to you guys for putting it all on for us.
Well, you guys are very welcome. We love doing it for you guys, and unfortunately, we didn't have our secondary broadcaster Eli with us today. He got caught up in some plane issues there. He was flying home, and the plane just decided, hey, we want to delay some stuff for you. So we will see you next week. Actually, we'll see you tomorrow in the F3.
Tomorrow, definitely, yeah. Tomorrow night, yes, definitely.
Yep. So we will we'll see you tomorrow in the F3s, and hopefully we get to interview you for a second time in one weekend. All right. You have a good one, Eric. Thank you. All right. Now for our second place finisher here, we have Ivan.
Go on the track again. You have one right-hander.
Ivan.
Left right-hander. Right. Oh, yo.
Ivan.
Yo.
It's interview time, buddy. You got second place, and are apparently very excited about it. How's
I was also talking with Chris about Le Mans, so that's why I was talking. I didn't know I was joining the broadcast room because I'm streaming as well, so I don't hear the noise from Discord, you know. So.
Oh, I got you.
P2,
yep, we have P2 from you. That's an awesome finish there. What was going through your mind there at the end when Lewis Archer, you guys had that little battle, he passes you, and then he slides off track, and it's P2 all of a sudden.
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm not gonna give it to you. I pushed Lewis off early in the race. He was going from the outside. I had floor damage, and Chris took me on the outside as well. And I had a collision with Lewis. So I had a Suzuka as well. So I was ahead of Lewis. I knew I had floor damage. I was like, I can fight him, but we're a team, So you're not gonna do that. And then he went off the track, and there were like 5 laps to go, and I was like, no, not Christmas anymore. This time not. So that's what happened, man. I didn't expect him to do that.
Yep, yeah, he was pushing his car quite a bit. Looked like he might have had a mishap, and he spun his car around. He was able to keep it in front of you for that, but his tires were red hot at that point, and he ended up sliding off the track. But earlier in the race, you had a great fight there with Louis Cologne. What was going through your mind during that, trying to fend off Cologne?
Well, when I have to defend him off, at that moment nothing. But Cologne, he hit me at the hairpin, and I was going off the track, and I was like, nah. Yeah, I was so angry. I was like, okay, Cologne, I'm coming for you. And Cologne, he spent it. There was a long time. It was like 15 laps or something, maybe 10 laps. We were in a distance from a second, and he spent, and I was like, come on, because it was the same distance, and I had floor damage, and I was pissed, You see that car, and but anyway, I'm sorry for that. It was the heat of the moment, so sorry about that, Louis. And we had a great battle, man, and I'm glad that I have my position back, and I'm sorry that it happened, man.
Yep, yeah, we saw. Your teammate Daniel Thomas got into him. Cologne had gone off track there, lost his rear end a bit, and on re-entry, Daniel Thomas came and gave him a big whack. He ended up upside down and had to reset to the pits. So we didn't get to see you guys keep battling after that, but later on, like I said, you guys had the battle with Lewis, and it was a great race to see. Great show you guys put on. And as you said, you're racing Le Mans right now, aren't you?
Yeah.
So we wish you.
We're driving P6 or P5 right now. It depends. Sometimes the P5 is spinning earlier than us. They do 9 laps and we do 10 laps. I think they're changing tires every stint. So we will see them later.
Well, we wish you luck there. Very cool to see our drivers expanding out just from IFL to run the 24-hour Le Mans race. That's awesome to see. Any shout-outs you want to give while we have you in here?
Everybody. I want to thank the sponsors, everybody who's watching the IFL, who's supporting the IFL, and of course all the fans. And we'll see you next time.
All right, thank you, Ivan. And we will bring in our race winner, Chris Byram here. Chris, How's it going, man? Great race there.
Thank you.
So another win. Upon the news of you going to be leaving and starting your own team, and you go out and you take a win from your teammate Lewis Archer, who was fighting you almost all race trying to close that gap, and you denied him that win. How does it feel?
Feels good, man. It was one of the better wins. I mean, second driver now to get back-to-back wins, which is good. So, win at Suzuka, win at Imola. I practiced pretty soon after Suzuka, after Imola, and I was managed to set sort of competitive lap times. Bit unfortunate I didn't get the pole time because I was on a couple of hot laps and I just ruined it myself. But it's good to have that sort of strong pace, and I would have been happy sitting behind Lewis throughout the race. Do you know what I mean? I think he probably had a similar pace as well, so would have been interesting towards the end. But then I don't know if he slowed it because he had issues at home with his kids waking or something, or if he just didn't want me to follow him. But I was happy staying behind. I didn't really want to get in front of him and show him my secrets, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
But no, it was a good race.
Yeah, you can learn quite a bit from following somebody behind. So great race there. And as we said, you'll be starting your own team next season and separating from Lewis. So it's going to be probably our biggest rivalry on the grid when teammates separate and are going to be going right up against each other. But for now, I believe you guys have now clinched the Constructors' Championship with your first and fourth place finish there. Lewis, I believe, has a penalty at the end of the race as well for exceeding track limits. So we had Eric Beddoes with a first-time podium jumping up into third. So a lot of firsts this week.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, Eric's well chuffed with his podium. And I was just saying to him in the waiting booth, like, this is what happens. Like, it's better just to stick at it and just plug your race, because anything can happen and you don't know where you'll finish at the end. And Ivan and Eric are just a perfect example of that. If you just stick to the end of the race, you can pick up positions, and points make prizes at the end of the day. So you never know what can happen.
Very, very true. Ivan had an incident with Louis Cologne, and he was, quite a bit behind and ended up hitting really early because of it, came back for second, and Eric Beddoes just sticking it out, having a couple off tracks here and there, but finding a way to be P3 after Archer's penalties there. And, even yourself, you had a couple slow down penalties, it looked like, during the first couple.
I had the one at the very beginning, yeah. That was really frustrating. I was just a little bit too late on the brakes, and it just dragged me into the corner a bit wide. And that's the thing with iRacing. It's like, even if I go wide and then I slow down, if you've cut the track at all, it still gives you it. So you end up losing a bit more time there. But my aim was just to try and get past Ivan as quickly as I could and just get that gap down to Lewis again, which I was able to do. So yeah, happy with the win. And yeah, really chuffed.
Well, we are very happy to hear that you were able to get another win, the only other driver other than your teammate to get back-to-back wins here in the IFL. And yeah, great job. Do you have any shout-outs that you want to give to anybody?
Just to you guys for doing a fantastic job, and then the rest of the grid. And then also just to sort of make an announcement that, yep, SimSharks, well, I will be breaking away from CUDA, creating my own new team in the Formula League, SimSharks Racing. Ivan Balkamp will be partnering me in the main sim team, and then Stephen Grabowski will be in the satellite SimSharks team. So currently still looking for people to teammate and partner Steve Grabowski, so anyone's interested, hit us up and let us know.
Yep, you heard it from the team owner himself. Already looking for some of the drivers that he's going to hope to take a championship and fight for the championship against his former teammate Lewis Archer, who, as of right now, is probably going to take the drivers' championship, and you and him will take the team championship after this week.
Not over till the fat lady sings. I think Lewis had to be 8 points ahead of me today to win, so if he's dropped down to fourth, that just gives me a nice little buffer. Got the fastest lap, and then also probably lowest incidents as well, I would have thought, so extra couple of points. So anything can happen. It's not over until it's mathematically not possible. So
Yep, never give up, never surrender. Keep on plugging away week in, week out. You're on quite the tear, so you never know what can happen. You can chase them down, you can go
Exactly.
and get them. So
that's the plan.
we're rooting for an exciting finish, which would be at Hockenheim. So we will see you next week at Spa. Any plans going forward for that to try and fend off Lewis for the drivers' champ?
Not really. Spa's a good circuit. I've got quite a lot of experience around there. I did a 24-hour race around there last season. Plenty of GT3 races. Nothing in a Formula car, I don't think. But it's one of my favourite circuits. It's a nice, wide, fast-flowing circuit. So I think that suits my style. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the European rounds, to be honest. I think I'll have some strong outings there.
Yep, the European tracks that we're going to be visiting, some of the more known tracks, some of the more experience for the drivers on these tracks. They're very popular in the sport of formula racing, so everybody knows them. Everybody's going to be pushing there in all the right places, so it's going to be a fun last stint here for the last 3 races. But Chris, congrats again. We will see you in hopefully in the interviews next week, and we will talk to you later.
Catch you later. Take care.
All right, well, that is going to be it for our broadcast. As we see, once again, Chris Byram taking home first, Ivan Baukamp in second, Eric Beddoes in third, Lewis Archer getting the penalty that will push him back to 4th place, Lewis Cologne in 5th, Don Day in 6th, Daniel Thomas in 7th, Dominic Herbert in 8th, and Steve Grabowski, who didn't quite get off the line, in 9th. As I've said, I think he had some technical difficulties, so sorry to see that. But we will see you guys next week at Spa, and tune in for the race tomorrow. Same time, same place, just F3 cars racing, and we will have a lot of fun watching those cars go around the track at Imola tomorrow. Also a big shout out to our sponsors once again: Buck Kicker Designs Ltd, Majors Garage, AutomotiveNews.gr. Thank you guys all for contributing as much as you do. It is much appreciated, and these drivers love to race, not just for the reputation, but for some prizes as well. So these drivers will be receiving their prizes at the end of the year, and we thanked our sponsors for all those. So thank you guys for watching. We will catch you next week at Spa.